News-Record Pegida rally in Dresden sparks mass rival protests. A record 25,000 people have joined an anti-Islamization rally in Dresden, Germany, called in the wake of the Paris terror attacks. The protesters defied calls from German politicians to stay away from the Pegida organization's rally. Elsewhere across Germany, tens of thousands of people joined anti-Pegida rallies. Chancellor Angela Merkel has said she will attend a protest organized by Muslim groups in Berlin on Tuesday. Justice Minister Heiko Maas was one of several leading politicians to urge the Pegida march organizers in Dresden not to misuse the deadly attacks on Charlie Hebdo magazine and a Jewish supermarket. However, the rally in the eastern city went ahead, drawing a record 25,000. Marchers carried banners expressing solidarity with the French cartoonists, killed by Islamists in Paris. A minute's silence in memory of the dead was also expected to be held. A protester holds a poster showing German Chancellor Angela Merkel wearing a headscarf in front of the Reichstag's building with a crescent on top and the writing "Mrs. Merkel here is the people" during a rally of the group Patriotic Europeans Against the Islamization of the West, or Pegida, in Dresden, Germany, Monday, January 12, 2015. Some 25,000 attended the Pegida demonstration in Dresden. Dresden, Germany, January 12. Supporters of the Pegida movement marched to show their solidarity with the victims of the recent Paris terror attacks during their weekly march on January 12, 2015 in Dresden, Germany. The anti-Islamization group has organized several Dresden marches in recent weeks. Pegida, Patriotic Europeans Against the Islamization of the West, has organized a number of Dresden rallies, and drew 18,000 a week ago. The anti-Pegida rallies on Monday drew 7,000 in Dresden, 30,000 in Leipzig, 20,000 in Munich and 19,000 in Hanover. People gather to take part in a protest against anti-immigration movement Patriotic Europeans Against the Islamization of the West, Pegida, at the Jewish synagogue in Dresden. Anti-Pegida protesters outside a synagogue in Dresden on Monday. Line. At the scene, BBC's Jenny Hill in Dresden. They marched in silence, at first at least. Normally Pegida's demonstrations in Dresden are rowdy affairs, but this, organizers emphasized, was a true march, a mourning march, dedicated to the victims of the Paris shootings. Pegida's been accused of trying to capitalize on the terror attacks, and Angela Merkel warned Germans not to support them. But tonight thousands of people ignored her, some wearing black ribbons as they marched. Pegida officials expressed their sorrow at what happened in France. But they also took the opportunity to unveil a streamlined manifesto. A response, perhaps, to critics who point to a lack of cohesion, a difference of ideology among their supporters. Take Carl, a pensioner who clapped me on the shoulder and smiled amiably as he pointed up at his banner, "Asylum seekers go home." Compare him to a man standing close by who wants Germany to stop weapons exports. Or the woman who fears that the country cannot cope with the current rate of immigration. But something unites these people, and that's a growing dissatisfaction with, and even a distrust of, the political establishment. Line. In a series of interviews, Mr. Maas accused the anti-Islamist group of hypocrisy. In Dresden, people want to remember with a black ribbon the victims in Paris, those same people whom a week ago they were calling the lying press, he said. Interior Minister Thomas de Maizière also criticized the organizers, while Bavarian leader Horst Seehofer called on them to stop the marches for the foreseeable future. The Chancellor, who was meeting Turkish PM Ahmet Davutoglu on Monday, was set to take part in a demonstration against the French murders in Berlin planned by Muslim groups on Tuesday, her spokesman said. "Islam is part of Germany," said Mrs. Merkel on Monday. "I am the Chancellor of all Germans." Hamburger Morgen Post damaged by incendiary device, the 11th of January 2015. Files were damaged in a weekend arson attack on the Hamburger Morgenpost. The growth of the anti-Islamization marches over recent weeks has worried Germany's political leadership. Tensions were further raised at the weekend when arsonists attacked a Hamburg newspaper that republished controversial cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad which had originally been printed by Charlie Hebdo in 2006. The men who attacked Charlie Hebdo last week were said to have shouted out that they had avenged the Prophet for the cartoons.